Okay, so this is chapter 14, building positive employee relations.
上主课
Okay, could I have you all mute yourself, please? Okay, chapter 14, building positive employee relations. Let's take a look at this. Okay, I'm getting some feedback from someone's mic is opened. Can you please make sure that you're muted? Okay, learning objectives. We're going to be looking at defining employee relations. Discuss at least 4 methods for managing employee relations. We're going to explain what is meant by ethical behavior, explain what is meant by fair disciplinary practices, and then answer the question, how do companies become best companies to work for? So here is a video that I would like you to listen to, Simon Sinek. He is a motivational leadership guru, and he is going to be talking about circle of safety/trust. So again, I'm going to put the video link into the chat. Please watch it. It's about 7 minutes long. It's really interesting. So I hope that you enjoy watching it, and we will see you in 7 minutes. I hope that you enjoyed that video. So again, could someone share what the take away was for this particular video? What did you come away with? Okay, Simon Sinek, like I've mentioned before, he's a guru when it comes down to leadership and such. So it's really nice to be able to sort of, this is just a small part of a larger conversation or presentation that he had. And what's really interesting about this, and it sort of goes down to what we're going to be covering in this particular chapter, is how do employees feel at work? And around, where his story about Noah, where he actually loved his job at the Four Seasons compared to only liking his other job, means a lot. And it is about going in and knowing that you feel safe in a place. When I worked in Poland, I worked in an organization that was an arm from a US organization. And this organization in Poland was new. It employed a lot of very, very fresh out of school employees that I found were very, how can I say, were not very trusting, didn't really feel comfortable at work. And it was really hard to see that, because I always believed that you need to enjoy where you were working. And if you don't enjoy what you're doing, if you don't enjoy the company that you were with, then you need to leave. Because like Simon said at the very end, it's, if you have any kind of fear, if you're not comfortable at work, then you're going to be stressing. And then that even creates more problems for you. So yes, it's a circle of safety and trust. In this case, safety means more of knowing that you don't have to fear, or you don't have to fear losing your job. Safety in a perspective of not physical safety, but more of the emotional safety. So as long as you have that trust. My team that I had in Poland were able to come and talk to me and tell me that they were having problems maybe at home. One of my employees had a sick daughter that he needed to basically be with her because his wife worked in another organization, a government organization, and she couldn't take time off. So I worked with him and allowed him to work from home, where I know that in other departments, they were not allowing that. They were not doing that. And it's about making sure that I knew my employee was going to be doing the work from home. But I built that trust in him, that he knew that he could come and talk to me. And I would rather know that this is happening to one of my employees than not to know. Okay. So again, you need to build that trust. As a leader, as a manager, you need to have that. And HR also has to have that too. HR has to know the employees that are in your organization. You have to make the organization safe for the employees to be working. Did you get that takeaway the same that I did? Any comments? You can give me thumbs up if you thought the same. Okay, thank you. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. And let's continue with the chapter. So define employee relations. And this is basically the activity that involves establishing and maintaining the positive employee-employer relationships that contributes to satisfactory productivity, motivation, morale, and discipline, and to maintaining a positive, productive, and cohesive work environment. So definitely you need to worry about this if you are in HR, or if you are just even a manager. You have to have that employee relationship with all your employees. Otherwise, you're not going to get the work done. Okay, the next part is discussing programs for building and maintaining positive employee relations. Definitely the very first thing is ensuring fair treatment. As a manager, as an HR professional, you need to make sure that all of your employees are being fairly treated. So reflects concrete actions such as employees are treated with respect and employees are treated fairly. And I think that is the biggest thing, is respect. Because again, everyone is an adult. You can't, as soon as you become a manager, you can't see your employees as children or any kind of other than your peers. Okay, you're there to guide them. You're not there to disrespect them. Okay, so procedural justice means allocation of rewards or discipline in terms of procedures being even-handed and fair. So basically, the department's procedures allow for requests for clarification or for additional information about a decision. So making sure that, you look at two different types of ways that you can make sure that your employees are being treated fairly. Then there's something called the disruptive justice, and it's a system for distributing rewards and discipline in which the actual results or outcomes are even-handed and fair. So again, this is more of distributing. It's a system of how you are going to be distributing rewards and discipline. Bullying and victimization. A lot of times we think of bullying only happening in school with children, where children are bullying another colleague or another student in their class or in the school itself. Well, it actually happens at work also. So here are a couple of things that you can look for. Imbalance of power. People who bully use their power to control or harm, and the people being bullied may have a hard time defending themselves. So again, you need to watch out for this. Intent to cause harm. Actions done by accident are not bullying. The person bullying has a goal to cause harm. Repetition. Incidents of bullying happen to the same person over and over by the same person or group, and that bullying can take many forms, such forms as verbal, name-calling, teasing, social, spreading rumors, leaving people out on purpose, breaking up friendships, physical, hitting, punching, shoving, cyberbullying, using the internet, mobile phones, or other digital technologies to harm others. So again, you need to watch this as a manager, as an HR professional. If someone comes in and says that they're being bullied, you need to take it seriously. Don't just shove it off as if it's just something that it's in their head, or that, something that bullying doesn't happen at work. It absolutely does. It's in human nature. People that do the bullying have, issues, and you need to work that out with them. Okay, so make sure that you understand what bullying and victimization is, because if it's going on in your place of work, that means that people are not happy in their jobs. Improving employee relations through communication programs. So again, a lot of employers are using communication programs to gather information and make sure that their employees feel good. And employees feel better about their employers when they are kept in the loop. Kept in the loop means that they know what is going on in the company itself. So different ways that employers can sort of communicate is to have focus groups, suggestion boxes, hotlines, exit interviews, open door policies, and management by walking around. And I think in the Simon Sinek video, you basically heard that at the Four Seasons with Noah, his managers were walking around, but they were actually walking around and then asking him what did he need to basically do his job better. Where at the Caesar Palace, where he was working, they were walking around to find out what they were doing wrong, to find people doing something wrong. And again, you need to, as you're walking around, you need to be there to be helpful. You're not there to spy on your employees. This is not about spying. This is not about making them feel uncomfortable. you should be able to walk around and see what's going on. And then this way they know that they can approach you, they can talk to you, and they know that you care. When I worked in the Middle East, I was in a college. During the first 2 years when I got to the college and I was managing a group of teachers, I was on the same floor as the teachers. I had my office and then the teachers were in their cubicles. 2 years after being that way, a new director came in and he wanted all of his supervisors, all his chairs near him. So all of us were moved to another building, which meant that I was away from my teachers, away from my employees. I made sure that I walked around to that area twice a day, once in the morning before classes would start, and then once in the afternoon around lunchtime or before people were going home, just to make sure if they've had, did they need something from me that day? And then is there something that happened that I could help them with, or that I could help them with so that their next day of teaching could be better? Okay. They liked that. At the beginning, they were very angry that I was being moved away because they liked the open door policy. They were able to walk into my office, tell me stuff, talk to me. They had some ideas. All of a sudden, I'm in a separate building. And it was very difficult for them to walk over because they have time constraints because of teaching on time and such. So if you can walk around, it makes a difference. Another way that employers might sort of find out what is happening in the company is organizational climate surveys. And this is basically surveys with questions that management will then be able to sort of perceive what employees are thinking about the organization. And these climate surveys definitely have to be anonymous so that the employees feel free, that they can actually sort of state really honestly and truly what they feel about the company and what's going on in it. A lot of companies don't do this. I believe that they need to, at least once a year, find out what is going on. And then as soon as you do get the results, make sure that you act on those results. There's no use of having a climate survey where you don't end up changing something if something is wrong. Develop employee recognition / relations programs. Okay, so what you need to do is have some good programs that are recognizing, people that have been there for over 5 years or 10 years. People like to be, people like to know how long other people have been around. So if you're going to initiate recognition and service award programs, it requires planning, requires establishing a budget, selecting awards, having a procedure for monitoring what awards to actually award, having a process for giving awards, such as special dinners or staff meetings, and periodically assessing the program itself. Does it work? Are people happy with it? So again, service award program, you might have where you're reviewing tenures of existing employees, establishing meaningful award periods, award after 3 years, an award after 5 years. When I was at the office in Poland, after 3 years, you got a pin. After 5 years, you ended up with, I think, a plaque or something, and then so on. So again, it all have those in there because people actually like to get rewards and actually get recognized. But as a manager, you need to work with your HR department because again, you can't really do it just for your department. You can, but it's better if the whole organization is part of it. And as an HR professional, it's good to put procedures in place and make sure that there is budget for this, and then work with your managers to make sure that they are actually giving the recognition that their employees need. Use employee involvement programs. So again, employee relations tend to improve when employees become involved with the company in positive ways. Focus groups, again, if there's an issue or something is not happening, especially if you're changing maybe a direction of the company, or if changes are happening, mergers are happening, Whatever it is, make sure that you're involving your employees. Focus groups are a good way of working with your employees and getting information from them. Social media. A lot of employers are now using social media tools to communicate with their employees and to help develop a sense of community. So Facebook, you can definitely create a Facebook page for your employees and then just keep them, up to speed and understanding what's happening with the organization. A lot of times emails, make sure that if, there are new hires or that there's a new program or the sales team really did well, whatever it is, make sure that you are involving sending emails, sending information to your employees. Employee involvement, using employee involvement teams. So again, you might have suggestion teams. So if a suggestion has been made, so put a team together, find out if they can find out what that suggestion meant and then how to actually work it. Problem-solving teams. Quality circle, the type of formal problem-solving team, about 6 to 12 people. And they're trained and they work weekly to solve problems affecting their work area. Self-managing, self-directed work teams. Again, what you might do is you might take on a project where you might give a group of people, 8 to 10 people, and you have to select them carefully that they need to understand that they are not going to be managed every day. They're going to be managed every so often, periodically, but they have to manage themselves. So again, getting your employees in different work systems really helps. Ethical behavior. This is a hot topic in organizations. So what is ethics? The principles of conduct governing an individual or a group. The principles people use to decide what their conduct should be. Okay, of course, not all conduct involves ethics. So everyone rightly views themselves as ethical people. So everyone thinks that they're ethical. So why are we studying ethics in human resources? Basically for 3 reasons. Ethics, it's not theoretical. It is hard to even imagine an ethical company with good employee relations. And ethical dilemmas are part of human resource management. So again, you need to understand and actually know the ethics, what ethics is, and then how to have an ethical company as an HR professional. This is basically a quiz on ethics. A lot of people don't know what their policies and procedures when it comes to ethical dealings are in the particular company. Like you can actually see question number 10 of gifts from suppliers. Is it okay to take $200 pair of football tickets? Yes or no? Is that ethical or not? Is it okay to take a $100 holiday food basket? Is it okay to take a $25 gift certificate? So again, your company needs to have policies and procedures put into place when it comes to any ethical dealings with inside the company and also externally. You need to be able to cap it. You need to be able to understand it so that people are not being taken advantage or that you're not showing favoritism for any organization that is outside. When I was at the college in the Middle East, not sure if you know any of the things that happen in the Middle East, but one of the ideals that some of the Arab countries have and of the Arab community is that if you go in and actually comment on something that someone owns, be it a ring, be it a necklace, being a dress, whatever it is, don't be surprised if that person actually takes that necklace off and actually gives it to you. So then you're put into this dilemma, do you take it or not? According to the customs, Arabic customs, you have to take it. If you don't take it, you're being very disrespectful to them. So then what happens if you're working for an organization? If it's a personal thing, that's fine, you deal with it differently. But say you are working with this person in a company and they do it to you. What shall you do? In respect, you do need to take it because you don't want to be disrespectful, but you also need to go and you need to inform your manager or the person that you're working with. And then hopefully your organization has policies and procedures. And that's another way of that. If you have policies and procedures in place, then you don't have to disrespect that person if you are not going to accept their gift, where you can actually say, according to policy in my company, we are not allowed to accept gifts like this. So again, your organization has to have these policies and procedures in place, and your company actually has to inform you about this, and you actually have to know these things. Ethics and employee rights. Although ethics, fairness, and morality help govern how employers treat their employees, the enforceable rights embedded in employment law also governs what employers and employees can do. So make sure that you check the ethical laws in your country. As an HR professional, you would have to know these. What shapes ethical behavior at work? There's 3 factors. The person, people who are inclined to make unethical choices, you have to deal with this. Situation, ethical situations that are ripe for unethical choices. And company environment that fosters or condone unethical choices. So again, company pressures, organizational cultures. If your company basically says that you have to have these sales or your job is on the line, that is a pressure, which means that you might do something unethical because you are worried about your particular job. Again, organizational culture, looking at what's inside the organization. How is the organization working? Are your managers, are your top level management, are they ethical? Are they unethical? So it all depends upon what the organization is. How any manager can create more ethical environments. Reduce job-related pressures. Do not put down as a goal that you must reach 100% sales. Make sure that the goals of your employees are reachable. Don't make something that's going to be unreachable. If they can't reach it, if they can't, do it, they're going to act unethically. Make it clear what's okay and not okay. Model the behavior. Be ethical as a manager. Reinforce the desired behavior, not the undesired behavior. Okay. Take it seriously. Investigate ethic-related accusations vigorously and make sure you correct the problem. If someone comes up and tells you somebody is doing or some unethical situation is happening, investigate it. Make sure that you look into it. If you don't, then you are not walking the talk, as we call it. You're not modeling the behavior. Okay, I'm not sure if you know about Enron and the scandal that happened years ago, but here is a 2-minute video that I would like you to watch to basically understand what happened with Enron. It was a huge ethical scandal that happened. So I will just put this into the chat. 1 second. If you can please watch that, and we'll come back after 2 minutes. Okay, so that little video was just explaining to you that Enron, the huge scandal that happened years ago, was all due to accounting fraud, that they were hiding what money they were not making and actually taking a look at future money that they would be making and putting it into their accounting at the present time. So in this case, there was a whistleblower, there was a person inside the company that actually found this out, and she went and she exposed them. So again, this is just showing you that unethical procedures do happen. And in this case, it was actually happening at the very top because they were worried about their particular companies, and they ended up having to go into prison. There was a huge court case that ended up happening. This is what you don't want to happen with a company. So that's why you need to have, policies and procedures in place. How human resource managers can create more ethical environments. Like I'm saying, institute ethical policies and codes, enforce the rules, encourage whistleblowers. And what we mean by that is that you should have a hotline set up or a specific person that these people could actually go and talk to, and make sure that their identity is not known. It has to be all anonymous. Foster an ethical culture. Hire right. You can actually make sure that you do background checks on people. Use ethics training. Make sure that this is part of your orientation, that you actually have people go in and do ethics training, or it could be an online ethics training where people are giving scenarios and then they would have to answer, what would they do in that case. Use rewards and discipline, and institute employee privacy policies. Okay, so this is a way that HR professionals can actually create a more ethical environment in the workplace. One of the things that as a manager you might have to do is actually discipline your employees. As a manager, you hope that you do not have to do this. You hope that you've got employees that understand and know how to actually act and be good employees. Purpose of discipline is to encourage employees to behave sensibly at work, where sensible means adhering to rules and regulations. Positive employee relations, and also legal concerns. As a manager or even in HR, you need to know what are the legal concerns. Every country has different ways of dealing with how people are disciplined, how people might be fired. You need to have a paper trail in some cases. Some cases it could be just because you're not performing accurately. In some countries, that's not a basis of laying somebody off or firing someone. So as an HR manager, or even as a manager, you need to know what the legal ramifications are and what you are able to do and not do when it comes to discipline. 3 pillars of fair discipline: rules and regulations, penalties, and appeals process. Definitely, you need to have rules and regulations. If you don't have it, then the employee can come back and say, well, you never specified it, so I can do it. So rules should cover problems such as theft, destruction of company property, drinking on the job, insubordination. The purpose of rules is to inform employees ahead of time what is and what is not acceptable behavior. Penalties, severity of the penalty usually depends on the offense, what has happened, and the number of times it has occurred. So if someone has come in and they're intoxicated, first time you might go in and say, this is a warning, send them home, tell them they do not come back until they're sober. But if they come back and do it again, then that could be cause for you to dismiss them. So depending upon what the infraction is, what they have done, and then maybe how many times that it's been done. When I was in the Middle East, it didn't happen, it wasn't one of my teachers, but another teacher had come in intoxicated, and basically the other teachers found that they basically escorted him out. He was written up and basically ended up being dismissed, because that was the number one thing that you do not do in a Middle Eastern country. Drinking is prohibited and you cannot do that. It is an offense overall in the country. So you cannot do that coming into a college. So he was escorted off and he was actually fired that same day. Appeals process. The aim is to ensure that supervisors hand out discipline fairly. If you have been disciplined and you don't think that you should have been disciplined, there should be an appeal process. Your employees should be able to go to HR and actually specify that you don't think this discipline should be happening, and they can appeal it. There should be a discipline committee that will take a look at the situation and then decide upon if the discipline was fair or was not fair. So rules and regulations, very first thing. Penalties, they need to also understand what those penalties are. So in the rules and regulations, you have to put in the penalties. And then on top of that, you have the appeals process. You have to put it in. It has to be available to all employees. How to discipline an employee. There are several steps. Make sure the evidence supports the charge of employee wrongdoing. Make sure you have evidence. You cannot do it by saying hearsay. You can't turn around and say, well, this employee told me that this employee did this. This you cannot do. You have to have evidence. Adequately warn the employee of the disciplinary consequences of his or her alleged misconduct. It has to be all written down, and then you have to have the employee sign a form. It all has to be in written form. You have to have evidence because of the legal ramifications that could come up if you don't have all of these in place. The rule that allegedly was violated should be reasonably related to the efficient and safe operation of a particular work environment. So the rule or the misconduct has to be in violation of something at work. Objectively investigate the matter. You need to investigate to find out what has happened. Investigation should produce substantial evidence of the misconduct. So again, you have to investigate, make sure that you are gathering evidence so you know misconduct has happened. Apply applicable rules, orders, or penalties without discrimination. So basically, this just means that make sure everything's black and white, that whatever the rules are, whatever the penalties are, you're doing exactly what is written and nothing more or nothing less. Sometimes managers may not like a particular employee, so they might be more harsher on that employee. You cannot. You have to be fair in the discipline. Couple more things. Make sure to protect the employee's due process rights. Make sure that they understand what is happening. They do have the appeal process. Maintain the employee's right to counsel. If the employee does have the right to bring in another manager or somebody from HR or even a lawyer, they have to have the right to counsel. Keep dignity. Do not embarrass, do not be disrespectful to the employee when you are dealing with them. Listen to what the person has to say, what your employee has to say. The burden of proof is on the employer. So if you believe as a manager, HR professional, the employer, you believe a misconduct has happened, it is up to you to show that it has happened. Show the evidence. It is not up to the employee to show that they are going to show you that it wasn't, but you have to show that why you are disciplining them. You need to get the facts, and absolutely don't act when angry. So if something has happened, make sure that you as a manager, HR professional, you are not angry when you are acting, because your anger is going to take over. That emotion will take over what you should be doing. Something called discipline without punishment. So what could happen is that in your policies and procedures, there could be something called a oral reminder. Say if, like I'm saying, somebody has come in late, really late, or whatever it is, you can just go in and say, I'm just giving you an oral discipline right now. I just want you to know that I have seen this happen and I don't want you to repeat that behavior again. Should another incident arise, issue a formal written reminder and place it in the personnel file. As the manager, you can do this. Doesn't mean that all rules and regulations, if something is wrong that you have to fire the person, you can actually put and write up formal written disciplinary actions into a personnel file. Give decision-making leave. So basically make sure that your decision-making is taking place, but make sure that you are not allowing them to make any kind of decisions for the next little while until they show that they can actually take responsibility. Dismissal if behavior repeats, purge the paid suspension if no further incident. So if a person is put on sort of disciplinary action, another way that you could do it is that you could dock their pay. And you keep on docking their pay or taking away from their salary until you find that they're not going to be doing that misconduct anymore. You could do that. But then if that misconduct is going to be constantly happening, then you are able to dismiss them. So again, HR professionals, HR departments, you need to have everything written down so that when a manager has to discipline an employee, he knows what the rules and regulations are. He knows what he has to do, or she knows what she has to do to make sure that they are legally bounded and that you know that everything has been covered. Okay, so employee engagement guide for managers. How companies become best companies to work for. So there is an institute called Great Place to Work. They define a great workplace as one where employees trust the people they work for, have pride in the work they do, and enjoy the people they work with. So if we sort of go back to the video with Simon Sinek, where he was talking to Noah, so basically Noah trusts the people that he works for. He has pride in what he is doing, and he's enjoying his work at Four Seasons because people are respecting him, trusting him, and such. So if your organization, if you feel that your organization is actually doing this, you trust the people you work for, you have pride in the work that you're doing, and you enjoy working with the people that are working with you, then that's a great place to work. Okay, 3 examples: SAS, Scandinavian Airlines, Google, and FedEx. I know that we've looked at these before, but these are great places to work at because employees at those places actually specify that. They trust the people that they work for, they have pride in their work, and they enjoy working with others in those organizations. So with SAS, there's great benefits, there's trust, there's work-life balance, Google, happiness, and people analytics. And then FedEx, it's guaranteed fair treatment. So those are the 3 companies, and this is what the employees were saying. A best company human resources philosophy, definitely cultivate trust. Your employees have to trust you as an HR department, as a company, everything. Ensure fair treatment of employees, respect the employees. HR philosophies may well be the magic sauce that explains why great companies to work for are great. Okay, so cultivating trust, fair treatment, and respect your employees. Here is a video on the top company to work for according to LinkedIn. It's 5 minutes long. So they're basically talking about LinkedIn, I think, has produced a list of the top 50 companies. They are going to be talking about the top 5. It's an interesting conversation, and I'd like you to watch that. Put the link into the chat, and I will see you in 5 minutes. Okay, so LinkedIn, like I said, has brought out a list for the top 50 companies. Now, in this particular video, they're talking about top 50 in the United States. LinkedIn did come up with a top list for the different countries or the different continents. So you can take a look at that. So again, I think what a lot of companies are doing right now, great companies to work for, is looking for companies that are going to invest in you, invest in your skill building, invest in your education. What Walmart is doing, where they are paying upfront for your education, higher education, is brand new, because usually lots of companies say, if you want to do your master's degree or get a bachelor's degree, you pay for it and then we pay you back. The company I worked for in the Middle East allowed us to do that. We would pay for our education. So that is how I got my master's degree. It was paid by the company. So I did the master's degree, and once I finished it and passed and got it, then I was reimbursed for it. So again, when you're looking for companies to work at, if you're thinking of changing, if you're just brand new to looking for a job, look for companies that have things like this, where they're investing in you. And these are the top companies, and this is what they're basically doing. There is an article, like I said, here are the 2022 LinkedIn top companies. This particular article, I will post it into Moodle later on, and these are basically listing companies in other countries. So just for you to take a look, this is just a snapshot from that particular article. So in Asia Pacific, if you want to take a look at the top companies, the 5 top companies in the country that you are from. So from Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, UAE, Egypt, Nigeria, take a look to see if your company is there, or if you agree with it, if you know these companies. Okay, so that will be listed in Moodle later on, that particular article, so you can actually take a look at it. Okay, that concludes chapter 14.